The definition of self-harm can be cutting or scratching, causing bruises, banging their head against a wall, punching a wall, pulling out their hair, burning, falling over on purpose, even breaking their bones on purpose. Some people self-harm because it feels like a method for releasing tension. It's a physical pain you can deal with rather than a feeling or emotion that can be hard to cope with. Self-harm can also be used as a way of punishing yourself for something that you feel really bad about. Some people self-harm because they feel alone, angry, or not good enough. Today we're talking about self-harm, and this is my story. Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Soul Healing, and today, yes, I'm going to talk about self-harm. I didn't want to leave this specific issue out because I know that it's one that's common, and it's one that's rising, and it's one that's misunderstood. A lot of people wouldn't know why someone would cut themselves, for example, but it's one that I've experienced, and I have seen people do it. I remember going into town one day, and at this time it was when I was quite strong in God, and I would just love to go out in town and just speak to different people and just share the love of God, really. And on a few occasions I've gone out and I've literally seen someone's arm literally be like cut up, and it's very sad. It's very sad. The first time that I can remember that I ever experienced something like that was when I was back in uni. Uni was one of the best times of my life, but it was one of the most challenging and worst times of my life as well. It was the best because that's when I truly encountered Jesus, and it was the worst because that's when I really encountered a low state. Like, I really seen like depression, and I really seen insanity. Everything just went downhill for me. Now I have an inclination of what was happening to me. At the time it was very hard to bear, but looking back at it, I understand what was happening. And it was such a hard time because I had that lack of support, and I didn't really have many people that I could confide in, or many people that I could talk to. And that's where I was really face to face with a lot of my demons, or that's when that door was open to really mark me and just really come for me. And the reason why I describe it like that is because a lot of it was demonic attacks. Like, a lot of it was attacks, and I remember when I was first going through some episodes, and I was in my room at uni, and it was a mess. Like, it was trash. Like, there was just things everywhere, and that was one thing about me that I identified. Like, whenever my room was like really, really bad, like, I had like minor, like borderline OCD. Like when I'd clean my room, like, and I'd have, like, for example, like my perfumes or certain things that they needed to face all the same way, like, and you know, when my room would really be a mess, that's when I would know like there's something wrong. And there was a time when it was just such a wreck, and I can't actually remember what was happening leading to it, but you know, I was going through a lot of things. And you know, I remember just taking like a blade and just really like slashing my wrist, and yeah. And I remember one time I was going really crazy, and thank God like I had a friend that literally like in the middle of the night like came and just took me away out of that situation. And I remember talking to my mum one day. We was like on the bus, and I don't know if she'll remember this, but like me telling her like what I did to myself, like how I was like cutting myself. It's really weird talking about it because I feel really emotional. And yeah, like I said before, like I've encountered both sides, like uh, both both sides of the world, you know. Like I've encountered experiencing what I'm experiencing now, which is victory, which is, you know, overcoming my obstacles and, you know, loving myself. And I've always experienced the opposite side where I didn't know who I was. I remember someone asking me to tell them 5 good things that I loved about myself, and I couldn't. I could not even mention one thing. And yeah. But now, you know, I've learned how to fight for my destiny. And because of that, I decided to do this series because it pains me when I hear about people that's given up on life, people that's taken their life away. And in a way, I feel like it's selfish because your life is not just for you. Do you get what I mean? Like, the reason why you were birthed into this world is actually for somebody else. The purpose that's in you is not for you, it's for someone else. So when you decide to take your life, you decide to cut someone else's life. Do you get what I mean? There's everything all links. So it pains me because I know how hard it is when you feel like there's no way out, you know? The kind of work that I'm in, I hear so many different stories and so many different people. You know, there was even a story of someone that's got mental health, and they smashed their face in, they cut themselves, they are suicidal. Like when I spoke to this, it was the carer of this person. It was very heartbreaking because I was like, wow, like, you know, this is what I'm passionate about. Like, how does it get to that state, you know, where someone completely loses all kind of willpower to be like, do you know what, I'm not going to allow this thing called mental health or, you know, insanity or depression or suicide to lay hold of my destiny. And like I was just thinking to myself, like, when does it get to this point, you know? And it starts from somewhere, you know. It must start from like a seed, and this is the journey that I am on, you know. Like, where does it start? Does it start from when I was born? Like, was I born with it? Like, does it start from when I allowed certain words to enter me? Does it start from when I allowed some, you know, I saw certain things? Or So all of these things, I start to think about. And I know people that I've been close with that has self-harmed, and that's cut themselves. And self-harm, yes, it's cutting yourself. Self-harm could, anything that is self-inflicted, like, it could be drinking yourself. It can be, drinking yourself to death. It can be anything self-inflicted. And I've seen people that I've been close with, and I've looked at their arm or their legs, or and it's got blade marks, it's got slash marks on it, and it's very heartbreaking because it's real, it's deep, and it's misunderstood. And I get it, I get why people do it. Sometimes people do it because it feels like, it's weird, because it's like it would take away the pain, but it doesn't. But sometimes when you do it, you think, the pain that you feel, you want a pain to replace it. Or sometimes you feel like you want to feel more pain because you deserve to feel that pain. And that's how I felt sometimes. I felt like inflicting myself because I deserved to feel that pain. And sometimes, even as a Christian, I find that so many people go through things, and it's like taboo, in Christendom, because you think, how can you have this whole God in you, but yet you're still going through this? And I get it, and I would wish that more people, more churches, more pastors, more leaders would educate themselves and get it and know how to help more people. Because it's one thing to pray and to go through deliverance, but it's another thing to walk that deliverance. So when you look at addiction, addiction is such a stronghold. It takes a lot more. It takes so much more to break that off. The same way someone can be addicted to alcohol or addicted to cocaine or addicted to drugs is the same way someone can be addicted to self-harm. Like, it goes very deep. I really want to create a network, where you will be able to find that help. Because when you're self-harming, for me, I feel like it's a language. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a language. It's a cry. It's a cry for help. Find a way to communicate what you want to communicate when you're doing that. What are you saying at that moment? When you're there and you're cutting yourself, you're thinking about something. What is it that you're thinking about? What are you what do you want to communicate that you can't say? That's why it's so important to find your means of communication, like your means of expression, whether it's writing, singing, dancing, anything. Like, you need to find that, because the only way that you're going to overcome those things is when you find something to replace it with. When a desire can only be fulfilled when it's fed. So what is it that you're feeding that desire? When you have that urge, unless you exchange it for something positive, then you're going to continuously do that, because you're going to think that's the way. Like, that's the only thing that's going to make me feel better, or that's the only thing. But it's not. Like, you need to fight. You need to learn to fight for your destiny. You need to find that. Like, you've got to fight. Like, that's the only thing that I could think of. Like, you've got to fight. And for anyone that maybe a relative or maybe a friend that or it may be a leader that you know that someone is going through it, there needs to be an approach, you know. There needs to be a way, you know, where we're reaching out to people, you know, where we understand. Like the church sometimes can be so ignorant in the things of the world, because sometimes we forget that we came from the same place that these people are at. Because now we are in a different place, sometimes we can forget that I used to be in that place, you know. And that's what keeps me going. I am on a journey. Like I am constantly on a journey, and I'm on a journey to find me. I'm been searching for who I am. And when I look back at where I used to be, like I said before, like I'm not ashamed of, you know, my past. I'm not ashamed of where I've come from. And my dream is to go back to where I came from and touch people's lives and save more lives, because people are bound by this thing called depression, mental health. You know, people are bound by this thing called anxiety, and I'm like, you were not created to live a depressed life. You weren't created to live with mental issues. It doesn't make sense, okay? It really doesn't make sense. So think about it, deep it, and let me know. Thank you so much, guys. I love you all. Please stay tuned for the next episode.